This guy right here is Ash Sai, a walking anomaly with lightning in his veins. He is currently locked in a death match. His opponent is a terrifying S-rank boss. The odds are completely impossible. The hooded monster expects him to surrender. It offers him a choice to submit. Ash furiously refuses to stay in this hellhole. He watches the entity move. He spots a 0.2-second lag after every single strike. That tiny fraction of time is all he needs. So what happens when you take a supposedly weak student and drop him into a nightmare dungeon? Ash triggers Flash God. His movement speed multiplies by 10. He predicts the monster's path and drives a massive electric punch straight for its heart. The terrifying S-rank creature is forced to praise him. It turns out, immense demonic power doesn't save you from a perfectly timed right hook. But before any of this, Ash is just a powerless kid staring at a broken system. In the year 2167, demons crush humanity's last stronghold. Ashi lies bleeding in the ruins. He remembers how the nightmare began 7 years ago, when Demon King Vorlun arrived to wipe out the world. Now, Vorlun mocks Ash. He calls humanity worthless garbage, questioning if this broken assassin is really their last hope. He orders Ash to shut up and become his next meal. Ash screams in denial. He thinks of his sister and his fallen squad. He accuses the demons of murdering everyone he ever cared about, because they took everything from him. Channeling his remaining lightning, Ash triggers his ultimate skill, Apocalyptic Arc. The sudden surge of power paralyzes the monsters. Ash vows to drag them all to hell with him to pay for what they did. As the blast begins to tear his own body apart, Ash sees fragmented memories of his master and his parents. He pictures them one last time. He apologizes, realizing he simply was not strong enough to protect them. Vorlun curses him as a filthy insect, just as the explosion engulfs them all. Ash opens his eyes. He sits up in a hospital bed and realizes he is still alive. He wanders to the window to find out where he is. Seeing an intact city, he wonders how anyone survived the apocalypse. Then he realizes he has jumped back 10 years to his college days. Suddenly, a strange sound rings in his ears. A system window confirms his gluttony power fusion is complete, locking the date to May 16, 2157. Ash knows he has exactly 3 years to prepare. 3 years until the first Demon King, Wrath, arrives to open the gates of hell. Because once Wrath breaks through, the rest of the Demon Kings will follow. Ash remembers how Wrath became patient zero for the apocalypse and cost him everything. Ash vows to fix everything. He knows he must take down Wrath before the demon opens the gates. Suddenly, a holographic interface appears. He stares at the stats showing his name at level 1, wondering if these are his real attributes. In his past life, he spent all 4 years at National Awakener University as an unawakened punching bag. A card materializes displaying the Lightning Assassin class, and he recognizes his old power from before. Feeling the energy flow through him, he switches his class. His college roommate Marlon Ma suddenly shakes him awake. Ash notices that Marlon cannot see the system. Marlon is stunned to see Ash's injuries completely healed. Looking at his friend, Ash remembers how Marlon died on the 3rd day of the invasion. It finally hits Ash that he has actually returned to the past. Marlon grabs his arm and tells him they need to prepare for tomorrow's rank assessment because it still counts for graduation. As they step out onto the bustling campus at sunset, Ash looks around at the students playing sports. Marlon asks what kind of horror movie nonsense Ash is talking about and suggests they just walk around the field instead. Ash ignores him. He knows that if he does nothing, the nightmare future will return, so he decides he has to level up immediately. The problem is the system. Awakeners only level up by killing monsters, but the big guilds hoard all the dungeons, leaving regular people with zero access to grind. With most students stuck at E rank, Ash reviews his own level 1 stats and wonders where he stands, though he knows he is already stronger than Marlon. Suddenly, a basketball slams into Marlon's face, knocking him to the ground. Edmund Gong and his crew sit on the nearby steps. Edmund mocks how quickly they healed up, and Marlon groans at his bad luck for running into them. Edmund demands to know why they did not bring drinks when they saw him playing. Terrified, Marlon immediately apologizes and promises to go grab some. Ash stops him. He tells Marlon that he is not the one who screwed up, and that Edmund's group owes them an apology. Ash stares at Edmund, feeling old memories rush back. Years ago, Edmund and his crew forced Ash's head into a bathroom sink. When Marlon begged him to stop, Edmund just smiled and claimed he was helping. Edmund argued that Ash needed motivation to awaken. The group laughed until Ash passed out underwater, at which point they called it boring and bailed. Marlon asks if Ash is okay, crying as he wonders why the bullies always target them. Ash speaks up, startling Marlon as he notes that cruel malice does not just lurk in dungeons, because it thrives right here in the human world. Edmund Gong smirks, ignoring Ash's words and preparing to attack instead. Marlon panics and tries to pull Ash away, but Ash stands his ground. Edmund looks confused while Marlon stammers in shock. Edmund powers up his aura, showing off his status as an E-rank flower warrior. The onlookers whisper that Edmund only bullies people because his older brother Cole is the student council president, while Edmund himself is completely average. They mock Ash and Marlon as the two most useless chumps in school, laughing that one is the weakest awakener and the other has not even awakened yet. Edmund unleashes a kick, but Ash warns him to stop messing with him. Edmund throws a punch to start round 2, but Ash effortlessly blocks the strike, leaving Edmund recoiling in pain. The crowd stares in shock, wondering how an unawakened loser just blocked Edmund's attack. Ash decides Edmund will make a perfect test dummy, so he uses his interface to switch his class to a level 1 lightning assassin. Marlon screams in shock, asking when Ash finally awakened, as lightning crackles around Ash's body. Edmund summons his immortal demon armor and charges forward, screaming that Ash forgot what a beating feels like. Ash meets the charge with an electrified punch of his own, striking Edmund with immense force. The impact launches Edmund backward, sending blood flying. The onlookers scream in horror, completely baffled that Ash just launched Edmund with a single punch. Edmund hits the ground bleeding and pants heavily, cursing Ash for what he claims was a cheap shot. Edmund's remaining lackeys scream at the paralyzed crowd, demanding to know if they are just gonna watch. Ash lunges forward, wreathed in lightning, while Edmund roars a desperate death threat. Ash easily catches the strike and snaps Edmund's arm like a twig. He stands over the bully and tells him he is trash. A heavy electrified strike sends Edmund flying across the pavement. Edmund collapses into the dirt. The watching students stare in absolute shock at the sheer power Ash just displayed. Ash pulls up his system interface. His stats are all perfectly maxed at a 100, confirming his base form alone can effortlessly crush bottom-tier awakeners. However, he notices a glaring problem. Despite completely breaking Edmund, his stats have not moved a single inch. Ash readies another burst of lightning, ignoring the terrified scream to the bystanders. He decides he needs to know if the method for earning experience is exactly the same as it was in his past life. He drives an electrified strike directly into Edmund's face to test his theory. A hand suddenly catches his arm. Student Council Vice President Arya Ling reminds him they are on school property, gently suggesting that Edmund has suffered enough. She smiles at the victims and assures them Edmund will never bother them again. Ash realizes the elite student council is already moving to protect the top of the food chain. He steps back, knowing he only needed to instill enough fear to keep the gang from seeking revenge. Two onlookers scramble away in terror. They whisper that Ash and Marlon were supposed to be the weakest, brokest losers in the entire academy. Arya overhears the whisper and smirks down at Edmund, highly amused by that label. Later that night in the dorm, Marlon asks why the idiots will not believe Ash completely destroyed Edmund. Weston Shang asks where Ash is, and Marlon admits he went out for a jog. Weston smacks Marlon over the head, arguing that a highly awakened mage would never need basic cardio. At his desk, Riley Sion quietly concludes that the bullies must have scrambled Marlon's brain. Back in the dorm, Weston Sion reminds his roommates they are grouped together because they are the bottom 4 ranks in the entire grade. He boasts that being 4th from last makes him the top of their room, dismissing Marlon and Riley as nothing but chanting supports. Weston brags that his nuclear mage class makes him the only true combat awakener there. He doubts Ash could possibly be a lightning assassin, deciding tomorrow's final rank assessment will prove the truth. Meanwhile, Student Council President Cole Gong steps out of the E-rank training dungeon to wrap up his daily grind. He finds Edmund waiting for him covered in bandages. Edmund begs his older brother to do something about Ash, arguing that humiliating him in front of everyone is a direct insult to Cole. Cole simply tells him he will deal with it. Later at dinner, Cole asks Arya Ling if Ash is actually that strong, admitting Edmund just was not good enough. Arya reminds him that he already recruited every D-ranker in the school into his club. She assures him those mediocre scrubs have zero chance of catching up, because nobody else has his access to the dungeons. Out in the rain, Ash trains by running 20 kilometers with 100 kilos strapped to his back. He knows physical strength directly limits an awakener's potential, but he still feels this is nowhere near enough. He remembers how Demon King Wrath descended upon the world in 2160 and instantly massacred thousands. Wrath killed his little sister Iris before opening the gates of hell for the rest of the Demon Kings to pour through. Ash vows that his target for stage 1 is to kill Wrath. He has exactly 3 years before the demon appears. His phone buzzes in the rain with a call from Iris. Ash quickly answers. His sister asks why he spam called her all day. She explains she was out competing and just plugged her phone in, happily adding that if she places, they can finally cover their rent. When she asks why he is quiet, Ash fights back tears, telling her it has just been way too long since he last heard her voice. Confused, Iris reminds him they just spoke 2 days ago. Ash stands silently in the downpour, his resolve hardening as he fully accepts his return to the past. He vows to grow stronger faster than ever to safeguard everything. 8 hours earlier, Ash slips back into his dark dorm room. In the shower, he notes that while his younger body lacks its future strength, he is slowly getting used to it. However, he realizes a major problem. Leveling up requires dungeons, and the guilds have them all on total lockdown. He wonders how anyone without money or connections is supposed to reach monsters, and questions what his new gluttony power actually does. Ash is yanked into a void and plummets downward until he crashes into the landscape. He wakes up disoriented in a pool of red water, wondering how he got here when he was just asleep. Skeletal beasts emerge from the wasteland, identified by the system as E-rank cloud warriors. The system automatically switches his class. Although Ash has no idea if he has been dragged into a dungeon, he summons his lightning and decides to wipe the monsters out first. He immediately tests his skills on a pack of monsters, cutting them down to harvest their fangs. He scoffs that these E-rank scrubs are nothing against his current power. The system announces a level up to level 2. Ash realizes this is not a dream because he can actually gain experience and level up inside the space. He checks his status, seeing every stat jump by 5 points. He realizes he has somehow acquired his very own solo dungeon. The E-rank boss King Doomhell appears. Ash decides to use the monster to grind some serious training. He drives an energy beam straight through the creature's skull to secure his victory. A system prompt states the carcass can be devoured. Ash stares at the decaying skull in shock. He activates the skill, asking himself if this is the gluttony power he retained. Energy swirls around him as he completely devours the remains. The system converts the absorbed monster into a class card for King Doomhell, granting Ash its cold immunity. He realizes he can kill monsters, devour them, and turn them into his own equipable classes. He stares at the card in disbelief. A familiar silhouette flashes in his mind. Ash realizes this devouring ability is the exact power of the Demon King Voraloon. Ash's heart races as he marvels at possessing the gluttony power of the Demon King Voraloon. Normally, Awakeners are strictly limited to one class, but Ash realizes his devouring power means he can hold unlimited classes. He questions why he received this power and asks what the deal is with the tower before him. Suddenly, an overwhelming pressure hits him, and Ash frantically asks what is happening. A hooded overlord emerges, announces he has been waiting, and calls Ash by his name. Ash struggles under the attack, knowing he is only D ranks at best. He realizes he is completely outmatched by an S-rank boss, and wonders how the monster knows his identity. They exchange blows, and Ash takes a punishing hit. Bleeding on the ground, Ash realizes the boss has deliberately avoided his vitals because the monster wants him to surrender. The Overlord offers Ash a final chance to stay and guard the Dreadspire with him, but Ash outright refuses. In response, the boss impales Ash straight through the chest. The Overlord warns Ash not to test him, explaining that he is only being patient because Ash is the only person who can reach this place. The S-rank boss powers up. He gives Ash an ultimatum, asking if he will stay or get crushed into paste. Ash refuses. He surges with lightning and swears to kill his opponent. The entity taunts him and they clash. Ash watches closely. He realizes every strike has a 0.4 second windup. Dodging a blast, he notices a 0.2 second lag after each attack. He decides to use that gap. He aims an electric blade straight at the boss's heart. Knowing he cannot kill an S-rank, Ash uses the strike to paralyze the target. Then he activates Flash God for a 10-fold speed boost. He needs to escape, so he sprints toward the only light source. Suddenly, the light vanishes. The boss reveals the exit was an afterimage, and that this place is not a dungeon at all. The entity praises Ash for staying calm. He calls him the only one who can bring hope. The figure displays the class of an S-rank stellar warrior, the Infernal Rakshasa. Ash freezes. Ash watches the creature and remembers the final showdown of his previous life. During that battle, Wrath rapidly cycled through multiple stolen classes to crush humanity. He unleashed thorny vines and beasts to wield the powers of his defeated enemies. He remembers the lightning that tore through their ranks. He remembers one form crystal clear. It was this exact demonic entity. He realizes Voraloon must have devoured this creature. Because Voraloon's gluttony power now resides inside Ash, this entire expanse exists inside his own body. The Rakshasa tells Ash he's earned everything here. He explains that Voraloon sealed the strongest demons he ever devoured inside the Dreadspire. Ash grabs the SS-rank Chronorift key. He asks the demon why. The Rakshasa replies that the Demon Kings wiped out his entire race, so he has been waiting for this chance at revenge. He adds that someone was right about Ash being their only hope, leaving Ash confused about who he means. The demon tells Ash to find the answers inside the Dreadspire. He offers his own power to Ash, leaving him staring in shock. The Rakshasa orders him to open the gates and devour everything inside, warning that the demons within will not hold back. The Rakshasa declares that only someone who can devour the last Demon King deserved its power. Ash absorbs the energy. He hits level 10. Securing his victory, Ash vows to carry the entity's legacy, because he plans to use his new Infernal Rakshasa skills to shatter the class ceiling. He swears to make his enemies pay in blood, but then suddenly wakes up in his dorm. His dormmate Weston Xiang admits he heard rumors about Ash getting stronger, and urges him to hurry because the rank assessment is starting. Weston challenges Ash to prove his strength. Ash casually bites into his new loot. Outside, Weston boasts that his E-rank mid-tier status means he could wipe the floor with them. Marlin tells Ash to go all out and hit D-rank. Ash considers aiming for D-rank. The students rush to the assembly, where Ash notices Edmund Gong's goons shoving people out of their way. Ash arrives at the assembly, and Edmund's goons immediately freeze in terror. They bow and greet him as their boss to avoid another beating. Ash ignores them and walks past, while his roommates watch in shock, wondering if Marlin was actually telling the truth about Ash's strength. Suddenly, a student steps directly into Ash's path. It is Holloway King, a student council officer. The crowd whispers that Ash picked a fight with Edmund yesterday, the younger brother of student council president Cole Gong. They recognize Holloway as Cole's loyal attack dog and a D-rank powerhouse, wondering why he is targeting Ash. Holloway leans in and claims his sensitive nose can smell real power from a mile away. Then he tells Ash that all he smells on him is the stench of someone destined to rot at the bottom forever. Ash looks at him. He asks Holloway if he is a dog, sending the officer into a furious rage. Before Holloway can strike, Cole Gong orders him to back off. Cole explains that he investigated the fight, and because Edmund was at fault, he must face the consequences of his actions. Holloway obeys, and Cole and Ash stare each other down in silence. The proctor announces that the rank assessment is starting and orders students to enter the portal by ID number. Holloway follows Cole away, dismissing Ash as a complete pushover. Up on a balcony, someone asks Vice President Arya Ling why she is watching a standard assessment. She smiles and replies that this one might actually be fun to watch. An hour later, the display calls Weston Xiang forward. His classmates cheer him on as he vows to show everyone what he is really capable of. Weston steps through the portal into a custom one-on-one dungeon. At the center of the room sits a pulsating demon heart designed to absorb energy. To prove their rank, Awakeners must unleash every ounce of their power against it. Weston lunges forward and blasts the core. The assessment machine finalizes the first scan. The evaluators log Weston's E-rank mid-tier status. They wait for his peak potential, which registers as C-crank. Weston slumps in frustration. Marlin tells him to calm down. He reveals that he and Riley scored even lower at E-rank basic tier. Weston complains that the school might not produce a single D-rank this year. Suddenly, the crowd gasps. A girl just scored D-rank basic tier. A little later, another student hits D-rank with A-rank potential. The announcements keep coming. 8 D-ranks log in rapid succession. The evaluators are stunned. They note that a normal graduating class produces 3 D-ranks at most. Then, Cole Gong steps forward. The crowd immediately erupts. They cheer for the student council president, whispering that he had D-ranks 2 years ago. Cole reaches out to the pulsating demon heart. He decides to hold back. He wants to save his full power for the graduation combat exam to ensure he makes the biggest splash. The lead evaluator stares at the screen in complete shock. Cole scores D-ranks high tier with S-rank potential. The entire hall explodes in disbelief. Their president just shattered the school record. The crowd erupts in awe as Cole's results are verified. The staff scrambles to report his S-rank potential to command immediately. Because an S-rank potential awakener is a global treasure, they know Cole will receive maximum national protection, especially since he is the son of the Imperial Guild co-founder. Watching from above, an official asks University President Stephen Yuan if he showed up today because he already knew about Cole's potential. But University President Stephen Yuan smiles. He admits he is not here for Cole at all, because he is far more curious to see Ash's performance. Down on the floor, Ash's name is finally called. Edmund immediately taunts Ash's dormmates. He mocks Weston, Riley, and Marlin for all scoring E-rank, calling them trash-tier losers who will only embarrass themselves at graduation. Furious, Marlin shouts back. He tells Edmund to just watch, because Ash is going to blow his mind. As Ash steps up to the portal, Weston wonders if his friend can really pull this off. Inside the machine, tendrils pull Ash's consciousness toward a vortex to connect directly to the assessment system. As Ash reaches out, the narrator explains the stakes. For Awakeners chasing the best future, their only real chance to prove themselves is the graduation combat exam. Whichever team takes first place wins big. They are automatically recruited by the nation's elite Imperial Guild. Nearby, Holloway eagerly introduces Evan Yun to Cole. He declares that their 10-man squad is now complete because they've gathered all 9 D-ranks in the school plus Edmund. With first place locked down, the ultimate powerhouse team is formed. It proves the harsh reality of the class ceiling. Winners flock together, and losers get kicked to the curb. Back at the assessment machine, Weston touches his temple in worry. He realizes Ash has been inside for a long time with absolutely zero noise. Edmund's gang laughs. They assume Ash is so weak the machine cannot even read him, and suggest leaving for karaoke because their elite squad is already set. Cole agrees, and tells his subordinates to gather the whole crew. The crowd stares at the screen in disbelief. Several students shout in shock, demanding to know how a D ranks can be high tier. One boy triumphantly yells that he was right all along. Ash places his hand on the assessment core. He checks his own stats, realizing that his level 10 baseline alone equals a D rank high tier. He decides to test his weakest class first. The system switches his class, and he activates his King Doomhole form. The screen instantly updates to C Crank's mid-tier. The watching crowd erupts into chaos, screaming that his rank just jumped again. Two researchers stare at the monitors in total confusion. They wonder if the system is completely broken, because they have never seen a rank change mid-test. The core begins to pulse under the strain. Ash realizes that his other two classes must be far above C Crank's. He decides to test his real power. He switches his class again, fully activating his infernal Rakshasa form to see what the machine can handle. The core pounds as a storm tears open the sky above the campus. The students look up in terror. One of them declares it a divine omen that will go down in history. The machine attempts to calculate his potential, and the researchers gasp as it detects another S rank. Cole watches in stunned silence. Ash pushes his power further. The core lets out a screech before detonating entirely because his potential exceeds its maximum capacity. The researchers rush into the smoke, terrified for the students' safety. They call out to ask if Ash is alright. Ash stands untouched in the wreckage. The head researcher looks at the ruined machine and realizes the demon heart is completely dead. As the staff wonder if the machine was simply overused today, Ash walks away. He tells himself he went a little overboard, but the results were worth it. Ash's gluttony power completely devours the A-rank Lux demon heart, granting him the ability to detect the power rank of anyone within 100 meters. He tests it out immediately. Scanning the crowd, he easily reads the E-rank statuses of the students around him. Then he looks at Cole Gong. He realizes the student council president was hiding his true strength too, sitting at C rank mid-tier. Up on the stage, the technicians announce that the demon heart has tragically expired, dismissing Ash's anomalous test data as an equipment error and suspending the remaining assessments. His roommates do not care about the official ruling, loudly celebrating Ash as a genius and suggesting they head back for dinner. This infuriates Holloway Kyung, who yells that a broke loser could never hit C cranks, accusing Ash of breaking the machine and wasting their time. Ash gathers lightning in his hand, deciding to just wreck the guy because he will not shut up. Before he can strike, Cole orders Holloway to stand down and stop disrespecting their new teammate. Cole personally invites Ash to join his graduation squad, promising that together they will break every school record. Holloway is completely stunned, wondering what makes Ash so special when dozens of others fail to bribe their way onto the guaranteed first-place team. Because Cole personally extended the invite, Holloway forces down his anger, reaches out, and forces a smile to welcome Ash aboard. Ash slaps his hand away. He is not interested. Holloway furiously demands if Ash knows what he just turned down, but Ash simply ignores him, stating that the squad's strength is not his problem. He calls Holloway annoying and walks away. The remaining students watch in absolute shock, realizing Ash just rejected the president and must be gunning for first place himself. Up in the stands, President Stephen Yuan tells Arya Ling not to worry, noting that Ash clearly has his own game plan. Though he admits it is a shame they will not squad up. One of the Council of Elites smirks, noting that Cole Gong has had everything handed to him since birth. He calls Ash's blunt rejection a straight-up declaration of war, because Cole never forgets a slight. Cole dismisses Ash's key ranks result as a glitch, but he silently vows to protect his top spot, even if there is a 1 in a billion chance it is real. Holloway Kyung notes that Ash has no real combat experience. He offers to give the student an attitude adjustment. Cole feigns innocence. He tells his squad to skip karaoke and do whatever they want. He insists he knows absolutely nothing about their plans. Holloway grins widely and confirms he understands perfectly. Minutes later, Holloway overhears that Ash skipped dinner to rush home. He crushes a can under his foot, eager to attack Ash off campus where nobody can stop him. Meanwhile, Ash walks through the city streets. He remembers his past life, when a top-ranking guild encountered an unprecedented monster deep inside a Sandhaven dungeon. That monster was Wrath, who wiped out the entire guild. Because Wrath eventually emerged to destroy the world, Ash plans to find the exact location of the dungeon first. He needs a fat stack of cash to kick off his plan, so he heads to the Mithril Monster Exchange. Inside the gear marketplace, Ash hands over his monster loot. The item shocks a bespectacled appraiser. A pink-haired worker recognizes the item as a Doomfang from the E-rank boss, King Doomhowl. The senior appraiser dismisses the E-rank scraps. He brags that they only deal with premium D-ranks clients and up. Frustrated by the lack of wealthy customers, he decides he has no time for a broke student. He orders a junior employee to finish processing Ash's items and walks away. The clerk hands Ash 18,000 credits, which he notes will cover his rent for now. He needs more, so he pulls out his wrapped weapon. The digital energy leaves a clerk gasping at the beautiful greatsword. She assumes it is highly ranked, while another scoffs that A-rank weapons cost 1,000,000 credits. Then the manager realizes it is actually an S-rank gear, wondering how a broke student got it. The staff freeze in absolute shock. The commotion draws out the Mithril Guild leader, Theo Ching, who warmly shakes Ash's hand and offers the VIP suite. Theo escorts him upstairs, introducing himself. When asked how he wants to handle the piece, Ash simply asks for 1,000,000, surprising Theo. Theo explains that selling it would trigger a bidding war, but Ash insists on a 1-month loan. Theo wonders what kind of college student pawns a treasure instead of selling it. Ash offers an extra 10% interest, so Theo dismisses his mate, Leah. He notes that Ash is a senior at National Awakener University, about to graduate. He knows the upcoming graduation exam's first-place prize is exactly 1,000,000, so he smirks. He asks if Ash is already confident he will take first place, but Ash says nothing. Theo deduces that Ash must be completely out of options right now, so he smiles and offers him 1.5 million in cash immediately. Theo offers 0 interest for the whole month, calling it making a new friend. He promises to keep today's events a secret, asking only that Ash bring them his future business. Ash realizes Theo was incredibly sharp. He figured out Ash's desperation, but chose not to exploit it, securing a long-term relationship instead. Ash knows taking down Raph is not a solo mission, so he shakes Theo's hand to secure his first solid ally. They sign a monopact, and 1.5 million credits immediately hit Ash's account. Since Ash just pawned an incredible weapon, Theo offers to lend him advanced gear for the graduation exam. Ash declines. He casually summons another weapon, exactly like the one he just pawned. Theo and his staff stare in absolute shock. As Ash leaves, Theo instantly promotes Leah to supervisor for keeping such a VIP in the building. But before heading out, Ash tells them he needs to buy something. Later, Ash arrives at the Everfield County bus terminal. Waiting for Iris, he remembers his past life. Before he awakened, they survived on the bare minimum while he ran himself ragged, doing delivery gigs just to make rent. He remembers how Iris secretly tore up her acceptance letter to her dream art academy, terrified of being a financial burden. Back in the present, Ash checks his phone. He wonders where she is. Suddenly, a familiar voice yells his name, scolding him for waiting at departures instead of arrivals. He turns to see Iris standing there. Ash stares at her. Iris demands to know if he's going to help with her luggage. She asks why he is standing there like a zombie. Then he pulls her into a tight hug. He closes his eyes. He tells himself that after 7 years, he finally gets to see her again. She complains that he is suffocating her and smacks his back. She asks if a girl rejected him, then orders him to get moving. As they walk, she chatters about her trip. Ash just smiles. He silently vows to protect her happiness. He refuses to let her suffer again. Meanwhile, Holloway Keon waits in an alley. He orders his gang to swarm Ash the second he appears. He wants to teach Ash the cost of disrespecting him. One thug asks what happens if they accidentally kill him. Holloway is too furious to care. He remembers Ash telling him to leave him alone. He orders the gang to beat the student half to death. He wants Ash crippled so he misses the graduation exam. As a D-rank cloud assassin, Holloway expects an easy fight. Down the street, Iris notices Ash acting strangely. She asks if the graduation exam is stressing him out. She tells him to pull himself together and reminds him that life is a marathon. Ash realizes how sharp his sister is. She has no idea he has awakened. He insists he is completely fine. Iris just sighs and blames his male pride. The gang spots them approaching the alley. One thug asks why Ash has a girl with him. Holloway decides this is even better. He notes there are no cameras here. Ash notices them immediately. Realizing the student council thugs have actually hunted him down, Ash decides he has to keep his sister out of it. A little earlier, he gently places an earbud in Iris's ear, telling her he has been obsessed with a new song and wants her to listen. She asks since when he is into music, but closes her eyes and smiles as the melody plays. Ash steps away into the alley. He faces the gang of E-rank and D-rank enforcers. We're here to remind him that losers get kicked to the curb. While Iris listens to a song about humanity's final days, the alley erupts into a chaotic brawl. Ash moves faster than they can track. He remembers losing his last family member in his previous life. He vows that no one will destroy his first real moment with his sister in 7 years. He launches himself forward, sending an enforcer flying backward with a bloody kick. The others watch in shock, while Iris continues to listen blissfully. She remains unaware of the punches Ash lands just steps away. The thugs panic and try to swarm him. Ash systematically dismantles them. He dodges a heavy swing and shatters a man's face with a punch. He snaps another enforcer's arm, ignoring the man's agonizing screams. A final strike sends 2 more bodies crashing into the dirt. The remaining thugs freeze in sheer terror, demanding to know how a kid like him can possibly be this strong. Ash unleashes his energy and punches Holloway in the face. He stands over the fallen assassin, a serrated knife in hand. Holloway declares he is a premier cloud assassin and warns Ash not to push him. Ash ignores the threat and channels his lightning to send Holloway flying backward. He follows up and strikes the assassin down again. Holloway crashes to the alley floor, completely broken. Standing over the wreckage, Ash furiously shouts that he already told them to leave him alone. He grips the knife as his eyes glow red. He glares down at the ruined squad. Lying paralyzed with shattered ribs, Holloway finally realizes the assessment was right. Ash is far beyond D ranks. He tries to apologize, but Ash shoves the blade into his bleeding mouth, warning that one more sound will be his last. Trembling, Holloway realizes this student actually intends to kill him, wondering what kind of hell he has lived through. Ash tells him to listen closely, ordering the worthless thugs to stay away from him. Pressing the blade deeper, he vows that if they ever threaten his sister, he will erase every last one of them without a second thought. Ash gives them one final glare before leaving the broken men slumped against a cracked wall. Later, Iris cries while listening to a sad song, but Ash playfully scolds her for acting like she survived a tragedy when he's been there the whole time. He surprises her with a brand new Manhwa pen, and her eyes go wide as she realizes it is an expensive drag group model. While she guiltily suggests returning it, Ash clenches his fist, remembering how he failed to protect her dreams in his last life. He silently vows to protect everything she holds dear. Back in the alley, the thugs he beat lie bleeding on the pavement and call for an ambulance. At home, Iris marvels at drawing holograms in midair, while Ash happily eats her noodles. When he casually mentions he has already paid off their rent for the entire year, she demands to know where the money came from. He awkwardly lies about his side hustle, and she crosses her arms at his terrible secret-keeping. But as she looks at him, she notices something. She has not seen him smile so genuinely in ages. She gently rests a hand on his shoulder and tells him not to bottle everything up. He softly agrees. Elsewhere, Cole Gong hears that Holloway suffered compound fractures, while Arya Ling remarks he will sit out the graduation exam. Cole dismisses the beating and states his squad just shed some incompetent dead weight. Logan Gong reviews the assessment results and confirms that Ash is a legitimate C-crank. He warns Cole Gong that Ash is the only student in the entire school ranked higher than him. Cole says nothing. Logan explains that Cole's father invited the Alliance vice chairman to the graduation showcase, so they cannot allow anyone to upstage him. Logan adds that they need to find a strong replacement to fill the hole in Cole's squad. Cole tells his uncle he is worrying too much. Cole asks if they actually believe he used his full power during the assessment. He promises that when the combat exam arrives, he will make sure everyone knows who really runs the school. He refuses to be second best. Later that night in the dorms, Ash finishes his daily weighted run and takes a shower. He tells himself that his financial problems are solved, so his real plan can start right after graduation. He decides to secure the million-credit championship scholarship to pay off his debt, because he needs to keep Theo Ching as a long-term ally. Lying in bed, Ash realizes the exam is less than a month away, so he has to start farming levels. Ash enters the Dread Spire and approaches the tower. He remembers that his weakest class, Cloud Mage, reached C-cranks during the last test. His strongest class, Infernal Rakshasa, broke the system's meter entirely. Ash summons the Chronorift key and steps into the void to see what waits inside the spire. Ash is suddenly engulfed by swirling purple energy. He is transported to the Fallen Star Wastes, where he immediately collapses to the ground. He realizes the gravity here is 10 times normal, pinning him down so badly he is running at barely 30% capacity. He knows he has to adapt fast, because a B-rank stellar warrior called the Phantom Mane is already stalking towards him. Ash quickly switches his active class to his level 10 Lightning Assassin, drawing an electric blade. The beast lunges, and Ash tries to strike back, but his body feels incredibly heavy. His attack misses the vital point completely, and the monster slams him into the dirt. Seeing that the beast is completely unaffected by the environment, Ash realizes his assassin class is worthless here. He switches classes again, manifesting the brute strength of the Infernal Rakshasa to meet the creature's strike head-on. To match the beast's power, he uses his new ability to crank his own falling momentum up to 400%. Ash declares his punch will hit with 60 times his normal force. He shatters the ground beneath the B-rank Phantom Money. Exhausted, Ash collapses. The system confirms the kill, granting him a Phantom Mane bone and pushing him to level 11. Then, a chilling realization hits him. The system never gave him the prompt to devour the corpse. He wonders where the door to the next floor is. He looks at an anomaly in the void, where multiple eyes open in the darkness, realizing the actual overlord has not even appeared yet. 5 more cosmic panthers emerge. The monster he just spent every ounce of his strength to kill was nothing but a trash mob. The shadowy beasts instantly swarm him. As the pack tears into him, Ash finally understands the true meaning of his infernal Rakshasa class. Once the door opens, nothing but endless agony awaits, but he has to push through. Suddenly, Ash wakes up screaming. He clutches his arm. Every drop of pain from his muscles shredding feels completely real. He knows no shortcuts to power exist because his lonely road has only just started. Later, the students gather for the team selection. One student excitedly announces that Guild Alliance brass are watching the exam. Another realizes this is why the rules changed. Every squad now needs 5 people and 1 E-rank high tier. Career coordinator Logan Gong clears his throat. He pushes the complete rank data to their wristbands, ordering them to lock in their teams immediately. Checking the list, Marlon and Weston react in pure shock, unable to believe Ash is only an E-rank basic tier. Other students wonder how his C-rank assessment tanked so badly. Nobody will team up with him now. Laughter breaks out across the hall as the crowd mocks Ash. Winners flock together and losers get kicked to the curb. Watching the mockery, Logan Gong silently criticizes his nephew Cole. Because the boy does not know how to manipulate people, Logan decides to school him. He will ensure Cole's rival never reaches the starting line. Meanwhile, the other students crowd around Cole and beg to join his squad. They swarm Cole Gung, hoping to secure a spot on his elite team. Half an hour later, teams finalize their formations. Marlon, Riley, and Weston stand dejected. Nobody wants them. The rules require at least 5 members with 1 E-rank high tier. They realize their dorm is being deliberately targeted to ruin their job prospects. Dungeon monster spawns scale with squad size. In a system where winners flock together and losers get kicked to the curb, nobody wants to carry 3 E-rank basic tiers. A student calls out to Weston. He urges the E-rank mid-tier to ditch his loser dormmates so he can actually graduate. Weston refuses. He firmly declares that he will not abandon his brothers. The recruiter snaps back and tells Weston he was just filler anyway. Almost every team is complete. They are still short 1 high E-rank. Ash spots career coordinator Logan Gong watching them. He notes the C-rank mid-tier's last name means he is part of Cole's clan. Ash realizes the Gong clan faked his rank because they see him as a threat to Cole. He vows to take the exam anyway. He decides to play dirty too. Ash silently switches his class. A little earlier that afternoon, back in the classroom, Ash decides he will no longer hold back. His classmates gasp in shock as he channels his energy, demanding to know what he's planning. Ash knows the rigged test is not the only way to prove his worth. He decides to invoke the school's oldest tradition, allowing any student to challenge another to a duel, because the sudden shock of a fight is the fastest way to show his true strength. He figures most people would avoid a random fight, but he knows Cole Gong definitely will not. Ash plans to beat the student council president right there, confident that a public victory will shatter the class ceiling and make everyone beg to join his team. Suddenly, Arya Ling interrupts his thoughts, asking if his squad still has room. She announces she wants to join their graduation exam, playfully reminding him that she hit D rank in middle school so she won't drag them down. The rest of the class erupts in shock. They yell in confusion over why the vice president is teaming up with Ash's squad. As Arya steps forward, the students whisper that she is an exchange student, completely baffled as to why she wants to take their exam. Logan Gong immediately protests, demanding to know why she is helping outsiders. He tells her that without a recent rank assessment, her participation is completely against regulations. Suddenly, President Stephen Yuan teleports into the room. His sudden appearance startles Logan and the rest of the students. Yuan gently tells Arya that she is only here for a short exchange, warning her that participating would ruin the fairness of the exam for everyone else. Ash watches intently. He wonders how a warrior class president managed to teleport and realizes he cannot read either Yuan or Arya's true ranks. Logan eagerly agrees about following the rules, but Yuan ignores him, addressing the room to declare that the school's mission is to cultivate top-tier awakeners. He insists the graduation exam is a critical turning point in a student's life. Staring Logan down, Yuan asks how the school could live with itself if it let students lose this chance due to special circumstances. Logan begins to sweat, realizing the president is calling him out directly. He panics, wondering if Yuan and Arya orchestrated this entire show because they caught on to how he rigged Ash's assessment. Glaring at President Yuan and Arya, Logan decides there is no point picking a fight with the old man. He tells Cole that this is all he can do, smugly adding that Ash is now stuck, dragging 3 losers into the exam. But then, the administration suddenly announces that teams with fewer than 5 members can now register. Ash's dormmates celebrate their chance to take the exam and enthusiastically beg Ash to be their captain. Watching from above, President Yuan tells Arya that her interest in Ash runs deep. Noting the stark contrast between Cole's elite squad and Ash's underdog team, he wonders what dungeon Ash will pick and what score they can possibly achieve. The moment the selection opens, Ash submits his choice instantly. The crowd erupts in shock. His roommates scream in terror, begging him to withdraw it and asking if he has completely lost his mind. Ash says nothing. The graduation combat exam is the students' first real dungeon raid, where they earn points by wiping out mobs and killing the Overlord. The top-scoring team receives immediate offers from the Imperial Guild, while the rest of the school expects Cole's squad to break the all-time record of 90 points. Ash's selection leaves everyone horrified. He is locked in a D-ranked dungeon. The students are dumbfounded because no graduating class has ever cleared a D-ranked dungeon in the school's history. As his roommates panic over the suicidal choice, Ash gently takes one of their hands. Watching the screen, Marlon clutches his head in despair. He asks Ash if he is sure about picking a D-ranked dungeon, and Ash says he is. At the same time, Cole Gong's team officially locks in their own D-ranked choice. Cole's allies smugly dismiss Ash's squad as a bunch of losers, predicting they will implode before the exam even starts. Weston stares at Ash. He wonders when his roommate developed such a powerful presence, especially after spending 4 years having Weston watch his back. Deciding to stick with him to the end, Weston accepts the prompt on his wrist device. Riley quickly follows suit, figuring they might as well see what a D-ranked dungeon is really like. Marlon screams in frustration. He hits accept and declares that if they are graduating anyway, they might as well go crazy. With the team officially locked in, Ash turns to his 3 dormmates and apologizes. He admits he chose the D-ranked difficulty because he needs to take the MVP title. Since they are all stuck gambling with him now, he tells them they should snag the top score together. Across the auditorium, Cole glares at Ash. He silently vows that only one person gets to be the strongest. Watching them, Arya Ling smiles slightly. She realizes that the rivalry between the two students has just gone public. In the observation room, Vice Chairman Carl Cavendish watches the broadcast and notes that picking a D-ranked dungeon is far too bold. Secretary General Sigrid agrees, arguing that carrying a squad solo is impossible and clearly not a smart play. Cavendish smiles faintly, agreeing that Ash's team could not have gained a major power spike in barely 2 weeks. While other students spent that time training in virtual reality combat chambers, the VIPs can only hope Ash's crew puts up a decent fight. 17 days before the exam, Ash's teammates are vomiting in the courtyard from pure physical exhaustion. Marlon asks why they are running sprints instead of grinding simulations. Ash tells them that simulated fights are useless, because when real terror crashes down, textbook knowledge will not save them. Facing a real monster requires pure gut instinct. He explains that drilling their stamina and reaction time hones their raw reflexes, since actual combat is what truly matters. Ash knows the elite students practice in real training dungeons. They use their perks to maintain the gap between them and everyone else. He explains that those born at the top hoard resources to stay there forever, keeping things regular. People can never touch. When Marlon asks what they are supposed to do, Ash declares they will score the highest marks and smash through the class ceiling. He reminds them the graduation exam is their only chance to leapfrog ahead, and it is his best shot too. He fixes them with a determined stare. 15 days before the exam, Ash grinds alone inside the Dreamspire Fallen Star Wastes. 2 weeks before the exam, Ash pushes through training and takes blows while instructors order them to run 5 more laps. He relentlessly hunts down monsters in the Dreamspire, slashing through them to gain experience. After days of strenuous physical conditioning, Ash finally reaches level 16 as a lightning assassin. Bloodied but determined, he declares that the real battle begins now. Back in the present, on the day of the graduation combat exam, a drone greets the students and instructs them to check their gear. Ash adjusts his gloves and stands ready with his squad. The administration broadcasts the event live, announcing that the exam officially starts. Outside the University Administration Building, President Stephen Yuan welcomes Soren Gong, the Imperial Guild co-founder, and Cole's father. Onlookers are shocked to see one of the founders in person. However, they immediately wonder who could be important enough for both Soren and the president to greet. A man steps out of the limousine, revealing himself as Carl Cavendish, the vice chairman of the Global Guild Alliance. Watching from the windows, students panic at the sight of a man whose organization basically runs the world. They know that the winners flock together while the losers get kicked to the curb, so just getting on Carl's radar today would skyrocket their entire lives. Inside, Stephen Yuan announces that 184 students, divided into 28 squads, will be taking the exam. Guild Alliance Secretary General Sigrid reviews the exam choices. She is surprised to see that 2 squads actually picked D ranks dungeons. An evaluator points out that most students lack combat experience. They have to throw everything they have just to take down an F ranks overlord. He warns that E rank is basically mission impossible because even the trash mobs there hit as hard as F rank bosses. Sigrid asks what happens if students run into trouble. President Stephen Yuan assures her that Imperial Guild armed units are on standby to intervene. He explains that the exam wristbands have built-in teleports. The second a student calls it quits, they are yanked straight out of the dungeon. Sigrid praises the school's talent for attempting D ranks. Stephen smugly waits to see how long the brats last before they bail. Meanwhile, inside the extreme danger Cloud Forest Crest dungeon, Ash and his squad trudge through the snow. They discover strange winged creatures crouching in the icy cliffs. They are Ghostwing Apes, D-Ranks Cloud Assassins. Ash warns his team to stay sharp because the beasts specialize in aerial swarm tactics. The bat-like apes screech and dive. Ash shouts a warning as an energy wave blasts toward them. Ash intercepts with a lightning-infused kick. His E-rank teammates scramble back in the snow, completely shocked that they just survived a D-rank attack. Marlin stares with wide eyes. He realizes Ash just slaughtered 3 D-rank monsters in a single second. Before the ambush, Ash warns his teammates that they are not ready. He tells them to focus entirely on staying alive and leave the killing to him. He darts through the snow to intercept the beasts. Watching him move, his teammates finally understand his relentless reflex training. He never expected them to fight, he only wanted them to survive. Weston feels a wave of shame. As the dorm leader, he hates realizing he needs Ash to carry him through graduation. Ash unleashes a barrage of lightning strikes. The monsters roar back. Ash tears through the snarling pack. He breaks their limbs and scatters the horde. Weston admits he thought Marlin was exaggerating, but now he sees Ash is far too strong to be a normal student. Ash fights like a seasoned veteran. Watching him effortlessly clear the field, Weston feels completely left behind. Suddenly, a shadow falls over them as another creature dives from behind, and Weston realizes they are exposed. Ash is busy fighting off a beast with his sword. Weston shouts at Riley and Marlin, refusing to sit there like useless baggage. He reminds them that this exam does not just belong to Ash. It is their exam too. Riley aggressively agrees and casts a binding spell. Dark tendrils wrap tightly around the shrieking beast. The monster thrashes and snaps the vines. Instantly, Marlin steps in with an icy wind spell to slow the creature down. He refuses to let the monster escape. They lock the beast in a frozen snare and yell for Weston to strike. Weston prepares to attack. He leaps into the air, gathering his nuclear magic into a sphere of fire. He hurls a blaze bomb directly into the trapped creature, obliterating it in a fiery explosion. The Ghostwing Ape roars, so Weston blasts it with fire, shocked because the monster is built like a tank. Marlin struggles to hold the creature in place with his magic, shouting that he is losing his grip. Pushed to his limit, Weston screams that he is going all out to finish it. He unleashes his Hyper Blaze Bomb, creating a fiery explosion that engulfs the area. After a system drone confirms the kill, Weston, Riley, and Marlin collapse on the ice in disbelief. Weston pants heavily, amazed because they actually took down a D-rank monster. When the monster drops a finger bone, Weston forces a grin and claims the fight was a total piece of cake. Ash stands amidst the apes and tells his teammates they did a good job. The system confirms the dungeon is clear. In the observation room, President Yuan stares in shock. He cannot believe that trash-tier students just killed monsters way above their grade, defying the class ceiling they were placed under. Theo Ching smiles, noting that the young man is quite the performer and reminds him of someone he used to know. Hearing the boy is named Ash, Theo decides to remember him. Logan Gong clears his throat to redirect their attention, announcing that Cole Gong's squad is already halfway through their D-ranks dungeon. On the screen, Cole cuts down his opponents. Sigrid observes that their coordination is flawless, because they move exactly like a pro guild team. Theo finds this interesting. Logan smugly declares that the real fireworks have not even begun. Meanwhile, in the Vilvin Den, a D-rank Toximush readies its attack. A little earlier during the graduation exam, Cole's squad tears through their dungeon. Cole draws his sword to finish the fight. Watching the slaughter, one student bitterly complains that the Gong family rigged the entire exam by using the exact monsters Cole trained against. Knowing victory is already guaranteed, the squad confidently marches toward the boss room. At the same time, Ash leads his own team up the freezing slopes of the Cloud Forest Crest summit. At the peak, they find the final boss, a D-rank Cloud Warrior, and his teammates panic because a single hit would kill them instantly. The ape locks onto them. The beast roars and charges, sending the other students running for their lives. Ash simply steps forward and slams a lightning-infused kick into the creature. Before the ape can recover, he blitzes it with a strike to the face. He batters the monster into the snow, ending the fight in seconds. His teammates freeze, completely shocked that the boss went down so easily. Ash just frowns, disappointed because the kill gave him barely any experience in terrible loot. Suddenly, Ash notices a strange light inside a nearby tree hollow. The team erupts into cheers, realizing the beast was hoarding mana crystals that will make them rich. Suddenly, a Cloud Mage Frost Bomb detonates. It encases Ash's teammates in blocks of ice. Lokengong smirks. He declares that Ash's graduation exam is officially over, insisting the guild team must intervene immediately to prevent casualties. President Yuan refuses to pull them out. He explains that the students' vital signs are stable and they have not signaled to quit, so the choice to forfeit must remain theirs. Back in the dungeon, Marlin sneezes inside his ice prison. He tells the others they are lucky his cloud element affinity provides ice resistance, because otherwise they would already be dead. Ash struggles to his knees. He recognizes the monster from the Codex as the Frostbone King, a C-rank Cloud Mage overlord that slowly tortures its prey to death. Ash realizes the Frostbomb was a deliberate trap, and he knows he cannot defeat a key-cranked boss alone. He tries to retreat, but an ice spike impales his left calf. Ash collapses into the snow with a critical injury warning. Gasping for breath, he wonders if he has to forfeit the exam. Marlin Ma refuses to give up. He channels purification energy into the ice, hoping that if he can wake Ash up, they can still win. An ice shard impales Marlin's arm. His purification fails. The Frostbone King laughs as he summons more ice. The system warns Ash of critical injuries and prompts him to forfeit. Ash refuses. He remembers how he used to run away, which always left him bullied and treated like trash by the winners. Marlin shouts that they worked too hard to get here. He declares this is their only chance to change their lives, and he refuses to throw it away. Marlin pushes his energy to the absolute limit. He screams as he unleashes everything he has to shatter the ice. But Ash breaks out and launches an attack to pull Marlin to safety. Marlin laughs weakly, pointing out that Ash escaped on his own. Ash reassures him that his effort mattered, then checks to make sure Marlin's wounds are not fatal. Ash warns that they cannot let the C-rank overlord freeze them again. Marlin curses and the Frostbone King laughs as he launches a frost bomb. Marlin panics, wondering how they can possibly dodge it. The Frostbone King emerges from the icy mist with a maniacal laugh, confident that the cold environment guarantees its victory. Ash stares down the canyon and immediately activates his Cloud Mage class. A cloud aura wraps around him, granting him complete immunity to the freezing temperatures. The monster gasps in confusion as its elemental advantage vanishes. Watching from the sidelines, Marlin demands to know how a lightning assassin can use a second power, wondering if Ash is a legendary dual-class user. Ash ignores the question and apologizes for messing up the assessment, swearing he will never put his teammates in danger again. He instantly switches to his Infernal Rakshasa class, declaring that he is ending this fight right now. As dark energy erupts around him, Ash solidifies his vow to protect them. He drives an energy blade into the boss, leaving Marlin completely terrified. Marlin knows that a person with two classes is a 1 in 10 million anomaly. There are fewer than 10 in the entire world, and the major guilds will tear each other apart to recruit just one. But as Marlin taunts the lightning, the cloud aura, and the infernal flames, he realizes the terrifying truth. Ash has 3 classes. Back in the exam dungeon, Ash pushes his strength and stamina to their absolute limits. He unleashes an energy blast that completely overwhelms the Frostbone King. The C-Crank boss is wiped off the map in a single strike. Ash kneels in the snow as the system confirms his victory, bumping him to level 17. Marlin stares in complete shock. He cannot believe Ash just one-shot his C-Crank boss, but he frantically asks if Ash has enough mana left to thaw out Weston and Riley. Ash realizes he completely forgot about his frozen doormates. However, a system prompt suddenly appears over the monster's skull, revealing it can be devoured. Ash extends his hand and absorbs the boss's essence. Looking around, Ash realizes the camera drone was frozen solid during the blast, so his secret is safe. Suddenly, his Lightning Assassin class proficiency hits 100%. He is surprised to see he has earned a star point. A little earlier during the exam, Cole's squad faces the D-rank Flower Mage, Overlord Voraflora. They struggle to hold on. Their attacks cannot even put a dent in the monster's insane defense. The Overlord unleashes a brutal blast that scatters the team. They are terrified by a threat far worse than their training. Desperate, they wonder where Cole is because he is their only shot. Nearby, Cole boosts his strength, stamina, and elemental stats, and calmly decides he is ready. He launches himself at the giant plant, striking it with fiery energy. He slams into the monster. His squad cheers for their president. The system announces that Cole's squad has cleared the D-rank dungeon in 35 minutes. They celebrate their record-breaking perfect score. Smug with their victory, they head out. Arriving at the exam lounge, they assume anyone out this early must have bailed. Inside, traumatized students cry about the terrifying monsters they faced. Edmund smirks as he spots Ash's team, assuming the losers ran away early. He walks over and mocks Ash, asking if he seriously could not even finish the exam after talking so much trash. Before Ash can reply, Cole orders Edmund back, because Vice Chairman Carl Cavendish has arrived. Chairman Carl steps forward, clapping his hands. As the man at the very top of the world walks across the hall, Edmund and the others excitedly assume he is coming straight for them. In the exam lounge, the crowd erupts in shock. Ash's team just cleared a D-rank dungeon in 21 minutes, a feat that leaves everyone screaming in disbelief. Carl Cavendish, the vice chairman of the Global Guild Alliance, personally approaches Ash to congratulate him. He praises Cole as well, noting that leading a raid at his age proved Soren Gong raised him right. Cole politely accepts the compliment before Carl announces he has to leave. The crowd congratulates President Stephen Yuan on finding twin prodigies. The final results are then announced, declaring a tie for first place because of the rare double perfect score. Ash's teammates cheer wildly. They celebrate with tears of joy, thrilled that they are set for life right out of school. Cole listens silently as it is added that the two captains will split the 1 million MVP bonus. Ash locks eyes with Cole and instantly realizes a problem. $500,000 is not enough. He promised to pay Theo Ching a full million within a month, so he desperately needs to find a way to scrape together the rest. Cole refuses to share the spotlight, knowing that first place can only belong to one person. He glares at Ash. When Cole challenges Ash to a tiebreaker, the room gasps. President Yuan panics, whispering that Ash will never agree to risk his guaranteed spot. Cole states that the winner takes the entire million. Ash immediately asks if he gets the full payout if he wins, and Cole tells him to beat him and take it all. Carl watches in amusement, glad the show is not over yet. The two rivals face off, and Ash accepts the challenge, asking Cole what his game is. Sometime later, Ash meets with Theo Ching. Theo admits he never expected Ash to obliterate the record with a perfect score, because Ash is now all over the news. Theo tells him to forget the debt entirely and consider it a seed investment. Ash refuses. He tells Theo that a debt is a debt, and he will pay it back. Ash tells Theo Ching that he needs one more week to pay off the debt. Tying for first place left him 500,000 short. He explains that he will fight a one-on-one tiebreaker next week in an unsanctioned wild dungeon. Theo is completely shocked. He warns Ash that entering a wild dungeon without guild training is suicide. Ash tells him not to worry. He promises to win the tiebreaker and hand over every dungeon drop as interest. Theo can only stare. He wonders how a student can be so unfazed by a wild dungeon. He realizes this guy is genuinely something else. Then, Theo mentions a second, more important matter. Ash waits for the news. Theo hesitates. He looks deeply concerned. He says nothing. Meanwhile, at Clearwater High School, the afternoon bell rings. Students happily celebrate the end of their final exams and the start of summer break. Iris C. checks her phone. She remembers that today is the day of Ash's graduation exam. Years ago, Ash burst into the room with his acceptance letter. He joyfully shouted that the academy had found elemental potential in him. He promised to become a top awakener and make enough money to give her a real life. He also vowed to discover what actually happened to their parents. Iris cheered him on. But not long ago, the reality of the class ceiling crushed those hopes. Ash sat at his desk, frustrated that he had reached his 4th year without awakening. Still, he forced a smile. He told her he just had to keep trying. Back in the present, Iris looks at a photo of them. She knows he outworked everyone. She knows he must have felt completely alone watching his peers unlock their powers. But he never once showed her his pain. Suddenly, her classmate Anna Ju runs up to her. Anna excitedly announces that 2 absolute prodigies just graduated with perfect scores. Anna asks if Iris's brother goes to that school. Iris smiles softly. At school, Sterling Jin, the most popular guy in Clearwater High, cheerfully greets Iris, leaving her friends completely stunned as she quickly runs away. Remembering how Ash failed to awaken while his peers graduated with honors, Iris decides to cook him the most comforting meal of his life to ease his pain. When Ash sees the massive feast, he's amazed by how incredible it smells, and they sit down to enjoy it together. As they eat, the evening news reports on the graduation exam and Vice Chairman Carl Cavendish's attendance, making Iris silently worry that Ash is just putting on a brave face. Suddenly, the anchor announces an exceptionally rare dual champion outcome, explaining that Cavendish gave special recognition to one student for a perfect score, Ash Sai. Hearing her brother's name on national television, Iris stares at the screen in absolute shock. Elsewhere, Soren Gung viciously whips his son Cole. Furious that Cole blew the perfect stage they had built for him. Bleeding and exhausted, Cole listens as his father berates him for losing to a nobody, declaring that Cole no longer gets to make his own decisions. Soren coldly reveals he has already rigged the upcoming tiebreaker, vowing to secure first place for the Gon family by any means necessary. As the news of the twin prodigies echoes across the city, Iris remains completely stunned, unable to believe that Ash achieved a perfect score. On the broadcast, Vice Chairman Carl Cavendish praises Ash's impressive performance, hoping Estonia continues to produce such talent. Watching the screen, Iris asks in shock if the Ash Shy on TV is really him. Ash casually confirms it, secretly crushing a hidden listening device under his foot. Iris is completely overwhelmed. She realizes her own flesh and blood not only scored perfectly, but earned a personal shout-out from the vice chairman. She breaks down in happy tears. Her unbelievable brother actually did it. Elsewhere, Theo Ching meets with his information gatherer, Kite. She hands over everything they have compiled on an entity known as the Glutton. Theo praises her work and tells her to eat. Kite refuses to drop the subject. She reveals she is tracking someone suspicious, who recently crossed paths with Theo, because their rapid growth is simply too massive to ignore. Meanwhile, during his 2 weeks of grinding inside the Dreadspire, Ash nearly wipes out every monster on the first floor. Reviewing his abilities, he realizes that hammering the same class raises his proficiency. None of his 4 classes have hit their ceiling yet. He drops the new star directly into speed. His stats push to A rank. Back in the present, despite his massive speed upgrade, Ash finds himself surrounded by the Overlord's snarling cosmic lionesses. Ash realizes he cannot land a single hit on the Overlord. He powers up his lightning and strikes, but misses again. He notes that every time he finds an opening, the target evades him. It blinks out of existence to reappear next to the farthest lioness. The formation never changes. 2 lionesses lock into close range to keep him busy, while 2 wait on standby. The Lion King stays at maximum distance, because it prefers to let its minions do the fighting. Ash fires another blast. The trick happens again. When he targets a lioness, she teleports beside the Overlord. The second he stops moving, a lioness charges in to bait a swing. Their coordination is iron-tight. They clash over and over across the ice. It is an endless loop of attacking and repositioning. They strike again. The cycle grinds him down, leaving him exhausted as the beast looms over him. Ash realizes the Overlord is literally just playing with him. He dodges an energy flash and tells himself to hold on. He wonders why he is even trying to beat the beasts at their own speed game. Instead, he initiates a class switch, and a burst of blue energy shatters the air around him. His body reforms into solid ice as he decides that if the monster refuses to fight head-on, he will adapt. He vows to pull out his mage class and tear them all apart from range. The switch completes, crowning Ash as a level 17 Cloud Mage.